Jon Moxley wins the AEW Undisputed title in a bizarre Dynamite match. Plus, an AEW star took a shot at CM Punk post-match, and Moxley shoots on WWE when Dynamite goes off the air. It's all in the wrestling news right now. Jon Moxley is now officially the lineal, undisputed, uncorroborated, citation not needed, AEW Heavyweight World Champion.com. That's a thing.
Absolute barn burner of a match. 60-minute time limit draw. No.
Honestly. Yeah. So Jon Moxley winning the belt from lineal champion CM Punk in just over 3 minutes. Moxley taking advantage of a leg injury from CM Punk. So it would seem Punk hits a high kick, then crumples to the ground, holding his foot, his rehabilitated foot. Mm-hmm. Moxley, like a shark in the water, goes after the foot briefly.
Yeah, he
pulling
does.
it and grabbing it and wrenching it. And then 2 Death Riders, and that's it. 3 minutes and 15 seconds.
Wow.
Jeez, the Rosie and Jamal barely got to the ring in time. I mean, after the conclusion of this match, we saw Punk getting help to the back by medicals and officials. Moxley gone. He threw a chair at one point and just left. And just cleared all the way off. Is this a work? Is this a shoot, Andrew? What is it?
I think this is a work, Tom. There was a few things. First of all, usually, when an injury occurs on AEW, it's usually the superstar themselves that kind of announce it if they feel so necessary to do so. However, AEW themselves clipped the moment and then posted it on their Twitter being like, is this an injury from CM Punk sort of thing? The way it all played out felt very much like a work, possibly leading towards something down the line.
Yeah, Ryan Frederick confirming what Sean Ross Sapp had reported, emphasising that Punk is not injured and the plan is still for Moxley versus Punk at All Out. So, Andrew, what was last night all about then?
So, WrestlingNews.co say it was a Jon Moxley idea, actually. Going on to say it was also reported that Moxley didn't like the original plans for the pay-per-view and he pitched what happened last night on Dynamite. The assumption here would be that Moxley was going to lose to Punk at the pay-per-view, but this is not confirmed, but it probably makes sense in his mind for Moxley to get a win on Punk if he is to drop the title in Chicago at All Out.
So we think we are getting a rematch at All Out between Moxley and Punk. Can we do it again?
I think so. I mean, it almost feels like a strange way to go around it, but if that is the thinking, obviously you want Moxley to still look strong, because I think even in that short interim reign that he's had, it's been very good. He's been such a fighting champion, had lots of incredible matches, and I think if the time to do it was ever, it would be in Chicago against CM Punk in front of his home crowd for him to finally drop the title.
Now, Bobby Fish had some words to say during and after the match for CM Punk. Several tweets seemingly criticising Punk's kicks. There's truly no surgery to correct the kick. Leave the head kicks to the professionals. It's better for all of us. And one where he just put, really? Which may have been a critique on the booking, more so a critique on CM Punk, maybe?
Perhaps, maybe.
How are we feeling? Because this kind of ties into something that's very heavily talked about in wrestling at the moment. How are we feeling about the work shootiness of AEW lately?
It's very, I think you put it perfectly in a tweet, saying that it's quite exhausting, isn't it? To sort of know what's happening and what's not happening. At the same time, whilst it is exhausting, and can definitely blur the lines, that's potentially a good thing at the same time, to keep us always guessing. Like, it's quite unpredictable as to know what's coming next, and I kind of like that too, in a world where sometimes professional wrestling can feel quite predictable, more so less predictable now, obviously, with everything happening in WWE and all the backstage stuff happening at AEW as well. So I think it's got its pros and its cons. What about yourself?
I think I say on Twitter, like I don't mind a little bit of it.
Yeah.
It's a lot. I feel like everybody is work shooting everybody, and I don't mind a little. I think it just feels the way that most of the stories in AEW revolve around some sort of behind. It feels that way. It might not be that way.
But I think you're right there in terms of I think AEW are very conscious of what perhaps is going on with what the fans are saying on the internet and everything, and I think they're definitely tuned into that, and they take that in a way to then actually spin it and make people think, actually, in a sort of way. But yeah,
you're showing the wires, but you're blurring them at the same time.
Yes.
You're blurring the lines while showing the wires. But don't worry, we went back to familiar territory after Dynamite went off the air with some good old-fashioned shots at WWE. What was said, Andrew?
So following Dynamite, obviously they taped Rampage afterwards, and that had the Dustin Rhodes match against Claudio for the ROH Championship. No spoilers here. You will find out on Friday who wins. But once Rampage had finished, Jon Moxley and Bryan Danielson came out to the ring and said that everyone was looking at the best professional wrestlers in the world. He told fans to tell their friends to check out Wednesday nights. But if you're watching that Monday and Friday night crap, that's a bad thing to do. Mox went on to praise Claudio for ignoring some crazy old man's thoughts on who he was to become the Ring of Honor champion. And then after that, Wardlow came out to the ring to thank the fans, saying his entire family was at the show. And then Tony Khan came out and introduced Danhausen, who introduced Hook before refusing to curse the uncursable Wardlow and saying toodaloo.
I wish he did say toodaloo.
Me too.
What's the origin of toodaloo?
I don't. Toodaloo?
Toodaloo.
Maybe? I'm off toodaloo. Maybe.
I want it to be that.
Because sometimes things like that get misconstrued and then they get turned into something else, don't they? That's not the analysis you're here for. It looks like
it
things
is. They want to know where toodaloo came from.
It looks like things were back on form.
They want the etymology of toodaloo.
It looks like things were back on form for Dynamite, at least, anyway.
Right at the end.
Rampage, yeah.
It's weird reading pros like that from Mox going, that Monday and Friday rubbish.
Yeah.
When actually, WWE has been really good lately.
Yeah.
and AEW has been the one that made people go,
dwindling, right? Like very.
It's in a strange sort of sticky paste at the moment sometimes.
It does feel very, very bloated and very just scattered at the moment.
That's my Tinder bio, mate.
Why have you got a Tinder bio?
From back when I was a single boy.
Okay.
Bloated and scattered. But Mox, Bryan and co toeing the line at the end of Dynamite to send everybody home happy. Thoughts before we sign off of Jon Moxley as AEW champion?
Happy.
Yeah, me too.
Very happy. Obviously not getting too much into what's been going on, or perhaps not been going on backstage with Punk and everything. I think he deserves it. In a reign where he mostly, in his first reign where he mostly had to be in a crowd of no people at all, I think this was the right move to finally give him that moment to shine, and he's been doing so in such a way where all of his matches have been bangers so far since holding the interim championship, and now obviously winning the big one yet again, which feels really, really nice for him. I'm very happy for him, at least. What about yourself?
I'm happy. I'm just hoping that we now get... Now I feel like All Out is sort of the next line to get across for Moxley. It would be a shame and a bit of weird hot potato of the AEW title for Moxley to win it and then not retain it at All Out.
Really? In Chicago against CM Punk, that would be so good.
Yeah.
That would be so good.
Tide is high on that one, but we'll hold on and see where it ends up. More wrestling news throughout the day at cultaholic.com. Keys.
Love you, bye.